You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, it's on, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. Tuesday night, and we are recapping Week 8. We're going to take a look forward into Week 9 and the Thursday night game. But, Evo, my man, looking very dapper, rocking the mustache. How you doing? And the glasses. You look smart as fuck right now, my brother.
Well, I'm only kind of smart. The glasses are on because I was playing a little bit of the Call of Duty Black Ops, and when I'm focusing, trying to keep the glasses on when I'm staring at the screen intently for a lot. But, I'm trying to get in the Kyler Murray mindset, playing a little Black Ops 6. Did a little bit of streaming over the past several days as well. I don't know if maybe after this I'll stream a little bit in multiplayer. Maybe we'll see. I got to go give the woman a little bit of loving too. So, she just got home from work, had a, carnivore diet, fucking wings on the Traeger and steak on the Traeger. Like, it doesn't get any better than this shit, Like, if you can deal with just eating meat, man, like,
I could get away with it.
Steaks and wings, and don't get me wrong, I want some fucking pasta and shit like that, but it's not that tough of a diet to get behind when you're eating good shit like that. So I'm stoked about it, but I'm also stoked to be getting into all of our games and everything from this past week, despite it not going great for my Vikings. But good game for your Brownies that we'll get into and whatnot.
Yeah, we will get into that for sure.
Interesting situation there. But yeah, we got some other stuff going on in the world of sports other than football. We do have trade deadline quickly approaching. Nothing else happening. I throw that out there again in case anyone's forgotten. On November 5th. But Mike, how are you doing, buddy?
Man, I am good. I'm hanging in there. It's been busy time. Soccer is wrapping up. Travel soccer, Aubrey was doing in the last couple of weeks. We're kind of in a lull right now. I just got done with midterms, but I am fucking exhausted. I have not been sleeping, so I am super, super tired. I missed going out and watching the game with my buddies last night. Had to take a little muscle relaxer on the back and actually finally get some rest. So I'm good. I'm getting recharged. I'm ready to break down these games, but before we start diving into football, I would be remiss to not bring up the fact that the Yankees are just getting absolutely dog walked in the fucking World Series, down 2-0 after the first, down 3-0 in the series. Aaron Judge absolutely fucking has shit the bed. Freddie Freeman, still a dog. Dodgers look like they're going to walk away with this entire thing. So shout out to the Dodgers. Fuck the Yankees. But with that, I mean, I don't have anything else. I mean, actually, I take that back. We did kind of discuss something a little bit before the show started that we should talk about. It's a topic in the world of sports. It's a topic in the world of arts. Listen, I think we have a little bit of that art thing going on with the No Sleeves Network. By the way, go check out No Sleeves Network at nosleevesnetwork.com. You can watch a movie on there called Duty Calls. You use that QR code. But other places in the world of art, specifically sculptures, things didn't go so well, man. This D Wade statue, it's terrible, right? Like, I know that we're kind of on the same page. It doesn't look anything like fucking Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, it was wild. I kept seeing the pictures out there, and I didn't correlate what the fuck it was because it didn't look like anyone that I recognized. But I'm seeing, LeBron and the Heat jersey memes with number 3 in the Heat with that face, and I was like, Wade was that, but like that's not Dwayne Wade. But sure as shit, it is Dwayne Wade. One of the worst busts ever, in my opinion. That artist who created that, like, I don't know how you recover from this, man. Like, it's not like he took like artistic liberty with it. It's a completely different fucking person. I don't find one redeeming quality in the whole thing. It's there's a difference between art and maybe something kind of abstract, and you're doing a likeness of a person and you completely miss the mark. Like the pictures of like Morpheus straining in the Matrix, like that, it looks like that. There's a whole bunch of other people that it kind of looks, it's insane, and it doesn't look like him. And Dwayne Wade's son was dogging him on it. The funny thing is that there's pictures coming out today, and I believe released by Dwayne Wade, of him going and seeing the actual clay sculpture before they cast it.
And had the heart to tell him.
And he must have been, yeah, like if I'm going to be enshrined with a statue, a bust of myself, and it doesn't look remotely like me, I'm saying something. Not to be a dick, not because I have some ego, but simply because it's like, look, man, this isn't me. You made a bust of someone. It ain't me. And like how it passed through any channels. It's the same, like it's worse than the Sean Taylor memorial that the Commanders did, which was pretty bad, but like this bust is just terrible.
It's
like
very bad.
But props to Dwayne Wade for getting a statue there and everything. Maybe they'll work on fixing or something like that because of the backlash, but I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. It's fucking.
It's not good.
It is not Fat Wade.
I don't know if it's Fat Wade either. It's tough.
It is just not Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's bad, man.
It is super, super bad. Eric Dunlap, thank you for hopping in here, brother, by the way. Also, producer Amber, let me know if the date is correct now. I fat fingered the date. It's not the 20th of October. It should be the 29th. That should be corrected on all of the streams now as well. So, but my man, so Dwayne Wade does not look like Dwayne Wade. The Dodgers are way better than the fucking Yankees. And there was a lot of football to be had. It's where, oh man. He looks so old. He stretched his face.
I don't see it. Don't see it at all. It's tough. It's a tough look, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It looks more like Shaq, and it doesn't look like Shaq, but it looks more like Shaq. You're right. Oh boy.
It
Enough of
certainly
that.
doesn't look like D Wade.
No, not at all. But
Oh,
yeah, with that, we'll kind of keep eyes on what's going on with this World Series game. I think the last time Dodgers and Yankees played in the World Series and they were up 3-0, was 67, something like that, and they ended up sweeping them. And we very well might have the same thing going on here with this World Series. Again, like you said, we're in the middle of second, and it's up. Dodgers up 2-0. They're just a superior team, man. I'm like,
they're
props to
stacked.
everything the Yankees did, but they're just such a superior team, even with Shohei, having the shoulder issue. They're just so much superior. And it doesn't help when you've got like Judge, who's completely absent from the playoffs. I saw
Couldn't
something. I
hit
don't know if it
water if
was
you
a
fell out
joke.
of a fucking boat right now, dude.
I don't know if it's a joke, but I saw something about how he was getting tested for PEDs possibly before the game.
That would be hilarious because he
Yeah,
sucked this entire series.
yeah. His batting is kind of like fucking dude in a room not being able to find a corner. It's it's terrible. But with that, we can get back to our bread and butter here if we want.
Hell
Get
yeah.
into the world of the NFL. Again, trade deadline is coming up November 5th. Only important thing happening that day, of course. And if you think otherwise, you check out the talk from the No Sleeves Network. We're gonna try to have another little show where we probably talk about fun events that aren't happening on November 5th, sometime before
Right.
that date happens. We'll surely discuss it after the fact. Trying to work that out right now, but we can get into some football as it is. We had some trades go down today.
We
Still
did.
more trades expected to happen. We see Deontay Johnson getting traded again from the Panthers over to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good get for them? Deontay's not done a whole lot this year. They haven't had much of a good quarterback or offensive situation there for the Panthers. Do you think that's going to be good for the Ravens?
I mean, it helps the Ravens. It gives them a solid, third option. Bateman, for all of his decent qualities, hasn't put it together. Really kind of bailed us out at one point, losing his footing during the game. Do you have Mark Andrews or kind of Mark Andrews? I don't know what's happening there. Obviously, Zay Flowers, I like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is really good, tough cover. So I think it's going to help them kind of open up the passing game. It makes sense. They need to get another weapon there who is consistent because they don't necessarily have that.
And Eric, I kind of agree. Look, I thought he was overrated with the Steelers. I thought he was kind of like a one-trick pony, more of your deep threat, Mike Wallace type of situation
You
there.
okay?
But he still had some decent qualities as a receiver, just never really lived up to the draft status, I guess, if you will. And so them dealing him away, I didn't think that was much of a problem. And now for him to go to the Ravens, I think that Lamar with that arm, he's going to be able to take some more of those deep shots to him. That's kind of the role that Bateman was fitting in. Like 2 weeks ago, Bateman had a really fucking good game, but they were on some deep ass passes. Now you got another solid option for that because we know Lamar has the arm. The accuracy has always been the question mark. So it's going to be a run and shoot type of offense. Take them deep shots and continue to run the ball. So I think it's a decent pickup for them. We also have the Vikings. We went down on Thursday night and lost our left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, one of the best in the league. I personally am biased, but I think he was the best performer in the league, even better than Trent Williams at this point. Some of those film breakdowns that we saw were fucking pretty incredible from him. And it, watching the game, thought it was going to be an MCL tear or strain, according to Twitter doctors. Turns out it was more than that. Needs surgery, out for the year. So big loss for us. David Cussenberry is the backup. He's a swing tackle, and he's a decent backup swing tackle, but not someone that you want starting the whole year. So we go out there and we get Robinson from the Jaguars, who are
Cam Robinson.
probably in tank mode. And he was a franchise tag this year for them. He's played 91 starts, big dude. And depending on where you look around, he's ranked like the 14th to 16th left tackle in the league. We got him for a 5th round pick that could upgrade to a 4th round pick in 2026 based on playing time. And a 7th round pick in return with him, also contingent upon playing time. I'm really happy with this because he's been playing decent this year. He was playing good enough last year to be one of the middle of the pack tackles and left tackles in the league, which is still pretty damn good for a left tackle. To get him for what we got, I'm happy with that. That means that we aren't like just hoping Quessenberry goes out there and does it. It shows that Quessy knows that this season is going way better than expected and that we have a chance to make an actual dent in the playoffs. And so they're not going to sit back on their laurels. So I'm happy to see that. And expect more trades to go down. I mean, we just found out Stephon Diggs out for the season with a torn ACL. That's another receiver down for the Texans. They could be in the market to bring someone in. And obviously, we've got other teams around the league that could absolutely use some players. So expect the trade market to continue to heat up here.
Yeah. Receivers are going to be a hot commodity. We've seen a couple of guys get moved already in Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins, Deontay Johnson. Now we're going to see receivers continue to move. Teams are going to be in tank mode. Some teams may not go into tank mode. There are rumblings that Browns fans are like, okay, we're going to find a way. It's not the first time that a team has been 2-6 and made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And you have like the Rams. They were looking at possibly trading Cooper Kupp. That's probably not happening.
Happening now.
I was going to get to your Brownies. I know you were sell the farm, get what we can, and I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are there as far as the team layout. But we can get to that when we get to your game, probably.
Yeah.
With your thoughts, because things kind of changed there a little bit this week.
They did.
Yeah, Bills could use some safety help. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some movement. We saw Uche from the Patriots get traded over to the Chiefs, I believe. So they're adding more to that defense. Yeah, there's going to be plenty to go around here. Plenty of movement. Look, the NFL doesn't do a ton of great things when they make adjustments to the structure of the league, rule changes, things like that. They aren't always hitting 1,000. Moving the trade deadline back. Because we would already be at the trade deadline like mid-October in other years, and having it pushed back, it makes a ton of sense. It's good for the league, good for the players out there, and create some interesting scenarios for the teams. But with that, you ready to jump into these games?
Hell yeah, let's do this, brother.
All righty. So we already kind of went over the Thursday night game. My Vikings lost to the Rams in that game. With the Rams winning, they are actually in the middle of their division, so don't expect them to be big traders. People are thinking there could be fire sales there as far as like Cooper Kupp leaving. There's rumblings about Stafford, specifically to my Vikings, which I was open to, given the correct sort of trade competition back and forth. But that's not going to happen at this point, I don't think. You would have to see another loss for the Rams here, and everyone else basically to win in their division, and them to kind of not be eliminated, but not to have a good taste in their mouth, more injuries or something like that to happen for them to even consider trading Stafford. So I don't expect anything to really happen there. But good on the quick game. They didn't allow pressure to reach them, and they got their two receivers back, which made them way more effective. So congrats to them on that, and congrats to the refs on screwing up the end of that game. Fucking terrible.
Yeah, they were. The story of that game is going to be the referees, the no call.
Yeah. And look, I didn't have a ton of faith that we were going to drive the field. I really didn't. We haven't seen Sam Darnold have to be clutch Sam Darnold. Like, in moments where it's mattered, he has made passes and stuff like that to continue drives at the end of the game and go down and get scores. But we've been in the lead for those games for the most part. So we haven't seen Sam Darnold in a clutch situation yet clutch up. And until I see that, I'm not going to have a ton of faith that it's going to happen. That doesn't mean I don't have faith in Sam Darnold. We're paying him $10 million, and he's putting up, 100 QBRs and is one of the better quarterbacks statistically in the league. So like we're getting a ton of production out of him. So I'm happy with the play. Obviously, he's got some talent. He also has some weaknesses. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the year. With that, we can get into our Sunday slate of games. We're going to roll through ESPN here, looking at our games. First one up that we'll talk about, Eagles and Bengals in Cincinnati. And of course, all the scores went away from me there. Eagles win this one.
37-17.
Yeah, 37-17. And another big Saquon day, 108 rushing yards on 22 carries, and a little bit more receiving. One catch for 3 yards. Not like the week prior, but look, the Bengals just did not look good. That defensive line, like I
The
was talking
defense
about,
is
looking a bit better,
trash.
did not look good.
They're trash. The defense is trash. It's been trash all year. It's been trash going now on a couple of years. Their offense is spectacular, but listen, when you're they just could not get anything going. The Bengals defense was a fucking sieve all day. Like they couldn't get the ball back to Joe to get him an opportunity to score more points. That's what happened in this game. They just couldn't get off the fucking field.
Yeah.
So,
and look, they only lost one fumble, but they had 3. One of them that they lost, and then Joe Burrow throwing an interception. The Eagles not having turnovers, like the Eagles defense stepped up. Their offense was rolling without any sort of issues. Both Devonta Smith and AJ Brown had great days.
I mean, they only punted the ball one fucking time. The Eagles punted the ball once and had no turnovers.
Yeah. And it's
you
not to say like
fucking win like that.
The Cincy offense wasn't terrible, but they weren't good. Definitely not good enough. And they had basically no run game. So if you're not able to be multifaceted on an offense or play lights out on offense where you can keep up, having a bad defense is going to kind of stonewall you there.
All right. Well, I know what I think about the Bengals and where I'll be on them the whole season. So it's pretty simple at this point. Terrible defense.
Yep. All right. Next up, we get to your game, buddy. Yeah. Ravens and Browns. Browns take the W in this one. They put up the most points that they have all season, 29-24 there in Cleveland. You got what you wanted. A memorial game. We got to see Winston go out. Yeah. What do you think? Now, we talked about, I brought this up before scientific method. We didn't get to see which stimulus actually necessarily created this situation. We don't know if it was the new offensive play calling or if it was the quarterback. But it doesn't really matter because good things fucking happened against a good team, a team that is expected to go deep in the playoffs. You guys were able to hold Lamar Jackson to 2 touchdowns and 289 yards and only 46 rushing yards. And your offense was, dare I say, churning. I mean, like,
that's pretty good.
Winston was like, hey, you can pass the ball down the field, right?
You're allowed to
guys like Cedric Tillman, who is definitely showing up. I'm a big Cedric Tillman fan, man. Like, coming out of Tennessee 2 years ago, I was stoked that, I wanted him to come to my Vikings, but I was stoked that he was able to go to your team because I expected big things from him. And I think he was just kind of stuck on the roster behind guys like Amari Cooper, and now he's filling that role really well.
Well, he also had somebody who couldn't throw the ball. So I said I was going to be positive on Sunday. I'm going to try to continue some of that positivity. However, reality is going to come crashing in at some point about this whole scenario. You brought it up, much like my 6th grade science class. I forgot that I had to just keep one control to figure out how to fix the problem. It took a while to figure all of that out, right? Crab legs didn't do good. But we have no idea what's good, what's bad. But I'm pretty sure that it's pretty safe to say that it was Deshaun Watson. It was Deshaun Watson's fault all along, and we kind of had thought that for a while. It is insane how you have an offense that just cannot generate any points whatsoever. And then you change out the quarterback. Now, granted, play caller changed as well. But if you go back and watch, the play calling is really not that much different. And you have a quarterback that can't throw for over 200 yards, can't score 20 points, to Jameis Winston, who led the league in passing this week. It's insane, the stark contrast in the way the offense looked from Deshaun Watson led to Jameis Winston led. I'm really happy for Jameis. Jameis Winston could be my starting quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years. He's only 30 years old. He can play for me till he's 40. I love Jameis. I love his leadership style. He's kind of that corny guy, a little bit like Russ, but not quite like Russ.
But did you watch? You
Oh,
had to
fuck yeah.
pregame speech,
Dude,
right?
inject it into my veins. Give me the Jameis Winston in my veins, the speeches, bro.
That guy is nothing but fucking positivity, man. Everywhere he goes, and he's a fucking goofball about it. And it's different than the Russ and the Kirk chains that are like weird, awkward dad type of situation. Right. He is the awkward, like goofy, funny guy that you're like, man, it'll fucking Jameis.
Yeah.
Fucking them crab legs again because he's hungry. Fucking goofball. But he's the guy that you want to rally around. And I have to completely agree with you. This is less about the offensive play calling. We saw this last year when you put in a competent quarterback, a veteran quarterback who can throw the ball. You're going to have ups and downs, but unless you take your shots, you're never going to make any. So Jameis, for all of his flaws that he has in his passing game, he's going to take his shots and you're going to hit. And obviously you're going to hit sometimes more often than not. Like 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes, he had a fumble, but like that was a damn good game.
He also threw 3 interceptions that were dropped. Thank God. Like, yeah. That also happened for Lamar as well. Lamar threw 4 interceptions that should have been dropped, that were dropped.
Yeah.
But listen, I love what Jameis did. I think Jameis is great. I want Jameis to be our starting quarterback for the long-term future because it kind of pumps the brakes on full-on reset. I would love to not have to full-on reset. That would be fantastic for this organization. But we are still going to have to solve the Deshaun Watson problem because that's not going away. And we can't cut him because then all of that goes into the 2025 cap year. And we just can't afford to do that. So the Deshaun Watson problem has not been solved yet. However, I think we can say pretty assuredly that it was Deshaun who was the problem. I understand that we had somebody else calling plays. They didn't look that much different. Granted, the offensive line played better. DeJuan Jones at left tackle actually kind of worked out. I was shocked. I thought he was going to be in a turnstile all day, but he wasn't. So, listen, they found a way to make these things work to get a win. I think it is possible that they could maybe make a little bit of a run and maybe make a wild card spot because, listen, we know we could beat the Ravens. We just proved it. We got 2 games against the Steelers still. The Bengals stink. We could make a decent little run in our division. Now, can we win elsewhere outside of that? That's where things get a little dicey because I think, sure, at times, yeah, I think we can beat the Chargers this week. I think we can beat the Saints for sure. Steelers, yeah. Broncos, yeah. Dolphins, yeah. But we got a Chiefs game in there. That Chiefs game is going to be really big. It's going to be super important, assuming that we can go on a little bit of a streak. I think that we can. This team is fairly decent. At least I'm starting to get back on that train. Like, man, wow, we look like a fucking NFL team because people were doing their jobs. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm going to enjoy this year because I know that next year this problem's going to come back up. I don't know if we're going to have Jameis again. I would love to keep him around. But I know Deshaun's going to be around because we cannot, unless they come up with some sort of injury settlement that both sides agree to, and find a way to really work the cap. This problem's not over yet. So I can't get all excited just yet. I don't think we will sell everybody off now, but we'll see. From an outside perspective, I mean, everything looked like it just ran cleaner, in my opinion. What did you see from this game? Because, listen, Jameis has flaws. We got lucky. He threw several picks that were dropped. We're going to have that, though.
But you had that with Flacco as well, and you saw what you guys were able to do and who you were able to beat. Look, your offensive line is injured, and it has deteriorated really quick. But they aren't, like, that dramatically different than they were last year. yes, they've taken a step back, but your offensive line is not going to look as good when you have a guy that can't pass the ball. The defense is able to focus completely differently on how they attack when you have a lack of a threat of a passing game.
And proper
They can
drops in your
focus.
fucking drop.
They can focus on the run game and pressuring the quarterback when the threat of a pass really isn't there. That's going to change now. That you have Jameis throwing the ball back there. He's going to have some of that variability, same way that Flacco did, where you're going to have dumb interceptions and things like that. But it's because the guy's taking his shots. So your offensive line, I'm not going to say that it necessarily is any better. It definitely looked like it performed better, but I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that you had someone playing quarterback, right? And the more that Jameson Williams, excuse me, the more that JMO is able to go out there and gel with this offense, get used to being the starter again, the better things are going to turn out. You are
Cedric
still going to
Tillman
have
is going to have a very quick rise because it looks like Jameis and he have a little bit of a connection already from
Sure.
time on that second squad.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it was more than just him. Elijah Moore had a great day, 8 catches, 85 yards. Jerry
Njoku
Jeudy,
got involved.
70 catches. Njoku, 61 yards on 5 catches. Like, you had a bunch of guys who have been relatively irrelevant all of a sudden kind of pop up and start doing things because someone was throwing them the fucking ball. Like, you can see that your offense is not as bad as it was. And yes, it comes down to Deshaun Watson. So I do think that you guys probably are going to pump the brakes on selling things off. Like, you do have defensive assets that you could theoretically get rid of. And at 2-6, you have a hell of an uphill climb to make a wild card. And you still have to think more than just this season, right?
Yeah.
Because you do have the Deshaun Watson problem, you have to think about draft capital because you have to hit in the draft in order to offset that cap number. So you could theoretically look to trade off some assets potentially on that defense, guys that you think that you get away with not having a huge drop off if you move, because the strength of your team is that defense. But at this point, it's tough to do a fire sale. Getting rid of Amari Cooper now seems like kind of an afterthought. Like, it was a good move because you have guys like Cedric Tillman stepping up who it would be interesting to see how Amari Cooper was performing on this team with Jameis Winston passing the ball, right? But it doesn't matter anymore. He's not on the team, and you're seeing Cedric Tillman step up.
Yeah.
So you guys already made a move to help yourself out in the future.
Yes.
You don't have to make a ton of more moves. You could if you want to, but I don't know that it's time to sell on the season. Now, if you go out next week and you have another loss, then sure, yeah, you could trade another asset, and you could be happy with this team getting closer to 500 by the end of the year and saying, hey, we still have something here. We have a path moving forward if we use Jameis Winston as our quarterback more long term and just let Deshaun ride the bench or whatever. So there is definitely some positivity to see here. But from the outside looking in, I don't think you guys have to fire sale anymore. I think that the offense in general is just going to look better. It's going to look more like an average NFL offense because you have a guy who can actually go out there, sling the ball, and take his shots. So I'm definitely happy for you guys.
Me too, bro. Me fucking too. Nick Chubb's still not quite back yet, but he had some moments where he looked like he could pop, looked like he could go. He's still working back. I think at some point here in the near future, maybe not this week going against a good Chargers defense, but we're going to see Nick Chubb have a nice little bounce back, go off game. Saints could be the spot for that.
Sure.
I'm happy. I'm glad we got a dub. There are still problems, but I'm not going to focus on those problems too much. We're going to celebrate Jameis and his unwavering faith. I love Jameis Winston, dude. I'm not kidding. If he is my quarterback for the next decade, I'm fucking thrilled.
And part of that effect has to be like, it's the same thing that you had with Flacco last year. You loved Flacco there last year, right?
Yeah, love Flacco. It's fun football.
You're being held underwater, and then whoever's going to pull you up and give you a breath is like, I love this fucking dude, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt when you have a guy with the sort of positivity of Winston. And look, a hell of a lot less sexual assault allegations. That's nice. Only one, I believe.
Yeah,
but
correct. Yeah.
we'll overlook that.
Yeah.
All right. Next game.
Oh,
Titans
couldn't
rolled
get
into
away with
Detroit.
that.
No, I couldn't. You had to do it. Had to do it.
Yeah.
Titans roll into Detroit, play the Lions, and get absolutely clapped. Lions 52, Titans 14. We saw another Mason Rudolph game out there. Decent yardage, but 2 interceptions. You know, he's that backup level quarterback. I don't know that you have the same sort of variability that you do when you have Levis playing, but it's still not a good product. And Detroit is Detroit, man. Like they just went
Detroit
back
is
to
the
kind of
best team
doing.
in football, I think, right now, man.
They went back to doing what they were doing, like just stomping on everybody. Like, yeah, my Vikings gave them a run for their money there, and it came down to a last second field goal. But they're good fucking team.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know what to say.
spectacular. They can beat you in so many different ways, which is why they're so good. Like
David
Jared Goff,
Montgomery throwing the ball for
yeah,
a
David
touchdown.
Montgomery throws a touchdown. Jameer Gibbs goes off 11 and a half yards per carry. Goff throws 3 touchdowns, but doesn't even break 100 yards. Like they can do anything they want, anytime they want. They are spectacular. They are the most sound, well-rounded football team. If they had Aiden Hutchinson, or if they go get another guy, man, this team is going to be super, super dangerous for a long fucking time. They are well coached. It is a well-built roster. They complement each other perfectly.
Yeah, and the stats are a little bit skewed here with the rushing yards. Like Jameer Gibbs broke one off 70 yards for a touchdown.
Right.
That accounted for a big hunk of his 127 yards, but they were able to this Detroit team, and it's kind of been one of the talks of this year, is that NFL is kind of leaning a little bit more back into running games, like running games dictating the pace of the game and how good an offense can be. The running game is opening up that pass so much more. And you're seeing 2 really good running backs there in Detroit. And David Montgomery only got 33 yards rushing in this game. But you're seeing a strong run game, that black and blue rough house type of football from this Lions team. And they're able to control the offensive script completely, keep that defense on their heels. And that's what means Jared Goff doesn't have to throw for over 100 yards. Like I think he had like 60 something yards at halftime, and he still throws for 3 touchdowns because he's not having to do a whole lot. He's not having to go out there and make things happen because the offense is going through that run game and dictating the flow of the game. And when you have your defense playing like they did, albeit they're going up against a really bad Tennessee offense.
Team.
Calvin Ridley showed up for once, 143 yards, but a pretty damn bad offense.
4
bad
turnovers,
quarterback, and it's a well-rounded effort from the Detroit team when they're going out there and they're getting return touchdowns on punt returns from Khalif Raymond. Like you're getting scores from places other than just your offense. They overall, top to bottom, are very good. They still have weaknesses in that secondary for sure. They still need to figure out some pass rush options, I believe, because they only got 1 sack on the day, but they didn't need to do a whole lot else because you didn't have a huge threat coming from Mason Rudolph. More of a classic style defense now that you don't have Aiden Hutchinson, and I do think that they can still be buyers out there. Did you see the clip of Dan Campbell talking about the trade deadline?
I did. Or he's jumping up and down. Maybe.
Yeah. He's getting giddy. I think they're probably working on something, and the spot that they need to work on is on the defense, whether that's in the secondary or more importantly in the pass rush. So expect them to be buyers because they're in position to make a deep run in the playoffs this year.
All right. Titans stink. Go Lions. I'm happy for Lions fans. My dude, friend of the show, Devin, just on the last 2 episodes ago now. I'm pumped for him, man. These Lions fans deserve to see a winner. And they got a good fucking squad.
Absolutely. All right, next up, we have the Cardinals and the Dolphins being played in Miami. Return of Tua Tagovailoa, and they get an L, but the offense actually looked to be better than it has been since he's been out. They lose 28-27 to those Cardinals. I guess Black Ops didn't affect Kyler too much. 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for another 19 yards. A good effort from them. A very close game that came down to the end. But it's good to see Tua going out there throwing for 234 yards and touchdown. He's still not, I wouldn't say 100%. It's almost like he had like another off season kind of where you're getting back into it. It's going to take him a couple games to get back in the swing of things, but not a terrible game. He learned how to slide. That was pretty cool. Did you see those clips?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fans, like, you can see the fans going like this to him and yelling, slide, slide, and then he does it, and just round of applause.
Woo!
It was
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Don't take any more fucking hits, Tua.
Yeah. Look, Dolphins fans, you're 2-5. You also have a very uphill climb to go, but you still do have all those offensive weapons. That's what we've been talking about the whole time. Is you got all these offensive weapons there that you could possibly make something from. You just got to have a quarterback that's able to run that offense and make things happen. To his back, he can run that offense. He can make things happen. So it'll be interesting watching where they're able to go forward from here. Cardinals, they just seem like a team that, as long as they aren't playing within their division,
Fine, yeah.
we'll see what happens with them. They're 4-4, and that's what it kind of seemed like as a 500 team. Like they'll show up one week and not the next week. So good on Cardinals for getting a win.
Yeah, Cardinals get a good win. Crazy that the Dolphins can't get any kind of like the second half. Their defense just got torched by Kyler. Good on Kyler. Comes out, has a great game. Man, if he has a bust of a game, the conversations about him and Call of Duty get real fucking loud. But you know what? Something that kind of corresponds here to Kyler having a really nice game. Marvin Harrison had a really nice fucking game. Caught the majority of his targets. Got a lot of yards. Scored a touchdown. Kyler needs to throw the fucking ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. more. When you do, good things happen. Your team wins. So keep throwing the ball to fucking MHJ.
Mm-hmm. They used him better in this game. That's something that we talked about, was that his route tree was not suited to what he did, especially in college. The route tree, there were a couple broken plays, where Kyler's breaking the pocket and is able to find MHJ, but the route tree overall was better for him. So maybe the offensive coaching staff was recognizing that as well. I believe they said that Kyler had to sit down with MHJ in between last game and this one and was like, hey, man, we need to get you more involved. What type of stuff do you like best? Let's try to work that in a little bit more. I believe I remember hearing that in the broadcast. And obviously it worked out because he had a pretty damn good game.
Yeah. Got to keep doing it. But let's move on to the next game. Dog shit game.
We're going into the darkness here with the Jets versus the Patriots. And apparently you got to learn to live in the darkness, or whatever fucking weird quote Aaron Rodgers said.
Hey, darkness retreat, bro. He knows all about it.
Yeah, I guess. Either way, the Jets lose 25-22 versus the Patriots, who are sometimes scrappy, but really not that great of a team. And they do it on the back of Jacoby Brissett. Drake May was out there having himself a decent game, goes out with a concussion, and Brissett goes in and just kind of keeps doing what they were doing. They're able to eke out this win, 25-22. And to me, this is less about the Patriots in this one. Look, again, Jacoby did okay. He ran the offense. Ramondre Stevenson and that running game was okay. 111 yards total from the entire group, including 46 from Drake May, which is really where Drake kind of shined in this game, was his ability to break the pocket and see when there is an open hole in front of him and take off. He looks pretty damn good running the ball. You kind of start to see the Josh Allen trajectory with him a little bit more when he's taking off running the ball, which means there's going to be some bumps in the road, but neither here nor there. Hopefully he's back next week. But the reality is that we have to look at the Jets in this game. And I believe it was Matt Ryan kind of said it best. Like, there are no more moves to be made with this team.
No.
They fired their head coach and promoted guys from within. They traded for Devontae Adams. They've made moves to bring in guys like Aaron Rodgers. They've got Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, good fucking receivers. They got Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, good fucking running backs. They have Aaron Rodgers, who at one point in time was a statistically good quarterback and clutch in certain moments. Like, Aaron Rodgers' accuracy is getting a lot closer to that of Jordan Love. If you watched any of this game, he's missing a lot of targets, man. Like, they've made all the moves that they can. I would be interested to see them put Tyrod Taylor out there and see how this offense operates. Because
Listen,
this is
I
kind of on
don't
air.
hate that idea because that's the same thing we were clamoring for here in fucking Cleveland. We got a guy who maybe can play. Listen, Tyrod Taylor has been a decent starter at several places throughout his career. At one point, like, was supposed to be the starter and then got fucked over by the Chargers organization when they punctured his lung. He has shown multiple times that he can fucking play in Buffalo, in I think it was still San Diego, now LA Chargers. Jets has come in as a back, not the Jets, Giants last year was a backup for the Giants and won a couple games.
Buffalo, he was a starter at Buffalo
Like,
for a
he
while.
can fucking play. There's no way you can do it though, for all the same reasons that you couldn't do it with Deshaun Watson, because the contract dictates that you absolutely are not going to do that.
Even more so than that, Aaron Rodgers is the biggest crybaby in the league.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong. If you put Tyrod Taylor in there, there's a chance Aaron Rodgers just retires on the spot.
Yeah,
because his ego is so hurt. Like, especially if they were go out and get a win with Tyrod Taylor. Aaron's just fucking gonna talk so much shit on the Jets and bounce. Like, he does not have it in here to get past the fact that he's not good anymore. He doesn't have the clutch gene. His accuracy is off.
He's got arm strength for days still, but his ball placement has been really bad.
It's been really bad. Like, there's no reason why this Jets team shouldn't be good, but what you're seeing on the field, the product, and it isn't the play calling at this point. It is mostly their passing game, man. Like, yeah, they can't get the running game going like they should with those two running backs. Brees had another solid day, but it's the passing game, man. They can't string anything
new offensive coordinator as well. The scheme. This is all Aaron's shit. Aaron wants to run this. This is what they're running because Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator, and he put in Aaron's shit, and that's what Aaron wants. And Aaron is not that fucking good anymore. I feel bad for Jets fans. I really do. Like Mike Greenberg, obviously well-known, famous Jets fan on Get Up, ESPN. I feel really bad for that man. Like the same way I feel about Detroit fans. Now, Jets fans, maybe I don't feel as bad for them because they've shot themselves in the foot a few times that their own doing. But like, to miss this fucking bad, they have to. This is detrimental for the next 4 years probably. In terms of,
I think the contract is easier and more palatable than like Deshaun's, but
sure, but Aaron, you're not worried about Aaron's. You're worried about all the other fucking contracts and guaranteed money and void years that you've added to bring in Aaron's guys. Because those contracts are getting years tacked on.
At this point, the Jets kind of have to pack it in, right? Like, I don't know what else.
They're at the same point that we are, 2-6. So theoretically, no, but they're going the opposite fucking direction on the pathway of football. Like,
don't get me wrong, it's a 1 week swing for you guys, so the pathway is different. Like, you guys were going
let
down.
Me enjoy Jameis Winston and the W's. All right,
you've gone down and leveled out a little bit. All right, but they've just been bouncing off the bottom of the lake the whole fucking time there in New York, and no amount of moves that they make right now are going to fix things. You have to hope for Aaron Rodgers from 2 years ago with the Packers, where he looks terrible the first half of the year, and then things start to pick up towards the end of the year. You have to hope for that, and for you to sneak your way into the back end of the playoffs. And I still don't necessarily see that happening, man. Like, it's a tough spot for the Jets. That is truly quarterback purgatory right now in the NFL. Where quarterbacks go to fucking die.
Yeah, nobody can play quarterback there.
Leave and have resurgences. I mean, I don't know about Zach Wilson right now being the backup out in Denver, but Sam Darnold got out and did all right.
Yeah.
Took a little bit. But
Darnold,
Yeah.
it did take a little while. I don't know. I don't think there's hope for Zach, bro. But I never did. I was
Yeah, he's probably a lost cause, but
yeah,
he could be a career backup in this league, I guess.
maybe.
There's MILFs all over the US that he can go
That's true. There
hang
are
out with.
milks everywhere. He'll go
Sure.
find them.
Yep. All righty. Next game, we have the Falcons and Buccaneers in Tampa. Falcons win this one 31-26. Cousins throws for 276 yards and 4 tuds. Another touchdown heavy day for Kirk Cousins in order to get this win. I had hopes that the Bucks would be able to pull one out here despite all the injuries, and they still had a solid day. It really just came down to turnovers here. Baker with 2 interceptions, and almost losing a fumble. Is the turnovers for Tampa Bay that really hurt them here. You didn't have some of the guys step up like you had hoped. The rookie Jalen McMillan didn't do a whole lot. Cade Otton had a fantastic fucking day, but he's
Yeah,
been
he
having a really
fucking
good
did.
year the entire season. And the running game was meh. You didn't see a ton from Bucky. You didn't see a ton from Rashad White, but that's not new. They just kind of shot themselves in the foot there with the turnovers. And Atlanta did what they've been doing. They've been having a okay run game, splitting between Bijan and Tyler Algier. And you had some big plays from like Kyle Pitts on 49-yard touchdown. And it was just Kirk kind of spreading the ball around to everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, Kirk distributes the ball really well. Did it in this game. Turnovers were the really deciding factor for the Bucks. Baker, we know, is going to have high variable football. That's one of the things that got him driven out of Cleveland is the amount of turnovers. And it hurt him here, cost him this game. Falcons, eventually they'll maybe figure out how to establish a run game with their 2 really quality running backs. They do it some weeks, and it's just amazing. And then other weeks they absolutely can't get it going. And that Bucks defensive front, their front 7, I mean, is okay. It's not great. You should be able to get a little bit of a running game going against that Bucks front 7. So, hey, good for the Falcons. Bucks, close game. But you know what? That division is going to come down to the very end, I think. The Saints are out. Those 2 teams are going to be fighting the Falcons and the Bucks because the Falcons are going to drop games they shouldn't, probably several times. But talking about this reminded me that we didn't show the people the picks. And you know what? The picks weren't terrible this week, guys. They were not bad.
We picked a lot of favorites, and a lot of favorites ended up winning.
We did get a lot of favorites. I went 10-6 on the week. Evo, you went 9-7. I'm clawing my way back to 500. That Falcons game we were just talking about. It was close, man. Point and a half. Very, very close game. Dolphins, we both missed. Tua just didn't have enough, or that defense didn't have enough. I'm not picking the Jets anymore. Fucking good call on the Patriots. Eagles, that was simple. Packers, once again, you have to watch them win and miss the bet. That fucking sucks. 3.5. My Browns, finally the streak is broken. I took them, and you did not get it right. I did, since you'd like to go opposite. The Texans, I mean, we're going to talk about that game here in just a second and what could have and should have happened in that game. But the Lions, our afternoon slate was amazing. We both went Lions, hit it. Chargers crushed it. Bills got it. Commanders on a fucking beautiful Hail Mary and one of the most wild plays that's ever happened in the NFL. Broncos, boom. Chiefs, fuckers. Of course they don't cover. Both got the Niners, both got the Steelers. Good weeks, man. For me, I am now just 5 games away from 500, clawing back to 500. My man, you're still a little ways away, 11 games under 500. Hey, but we're working our way back. A couple more weeks like this, we could be right back to where we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm comfortable with a 9-7 week. That is progress for sure on my end. But with that, we get into this next game, Packers and Jags. Again, one that we both took the L on here. We dropped the points, and that fucking hook got us. Packers win 30-27. You have Jordan Love go out with a groin injury, but it didn't really matter because the Packers controlled the game on the fucking ground. 170 rush yards, 127 of those from Josh Jacobs. The Jags could not put a stop to that run game, which basically meant that you didn't have to see a ton from the pass game. Jordan Love, no touchdowns, one interception, and 196 yards before he went out in this one. But look, the Jags definitely were scrappier in this one. They've had put together a couple good games, but they're also one of those 2-6 teams that is continuing to struggle to keep their head above water. And you're seeing the fact that they're trading away players now, that they are probably at that point where they know that they need to kind of cash in the rest of the year. The one thing that they can be really happy with, though, Ryan Thomas Jr., he definitely looks like a stud. Look, 3 catches, 60 yards, but a phenomenal touchdown in this game. He looks like the real deal. You got to get the ball to him more. But yeah, it's just a strong run game from this Packers offense, able to control the game script.
Yeah, played decent defense as well. Able to force mistakes from Trevor Lawrence. It's happened a lot this year, though, from Trevor Lawrence. This Packers team can run the ball. I actually don't hate what Malik Willis is able to do for them either. I know Packers fans are not going to want to hear this. They need to fucking sit Jordan Love down. He has the knee. Now he has the groin. We're talking about lower body injuries on a guy that has problems with his accuracy. Anybody who knows anything about fucking throwing knows you don't throw with your arm. You throw with your fucking lower half to generate any kind of torque, any kind of power. And then the more you throw with your arm and the farther your appendages get away from your body, the less accurate you become. We're going to continue to see massive accuracy issues the more he deals with these lower body injuries and you keep pushing him out there because he was inaccurate again. And he's already inaccurate. They need to sit him down, let his lower half get rested up, or you're going to see games like this all year where he just cannot fucking hit the broadside of a barn. Simple throwing mechanics. The lower half is what drives your throw. Like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Look, Malik fits the same way. Malik fits in this office the same way that we saw Justin Fields fit in with that Pittsburgh offense. It's a run-heavy team right now. They're able to dictate the game script with the run, and he's a little bit more of a running quarterback than a passing quarterback. That, coupled with a strong defense, controlling the game script, they're able to do good things. Jordan Love, when he's operating at 100%, he's able to make some throws happen, but the receivers are having to bail him out on a lot of things. We've continually talked about his accuracy not being there, and you're going to, like you said, see more issues with that. The power, the accuracy, it's not going to be there with all these lower body injuries. I still think that Malik Willis and his inability to be as much of an effective passer, it creates issues for that Packers team where if they get behind, it would be tough to see them come from behind and get back ahead. But if you're controlling the game like they are on the ground, you shouldn't be having to play from behind too much. Like, even if you're down, you're not down by that much. Not more than one score, probably, with the way they're able to dictate things. Until a team can come up and stop that rush attack, they should be able to be in every game that they're in, even with Malik Willis playing quarterback.
I agree. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep trotting him out there, we'll see how bad the groin is. Left the game, though.
Yeah. And he was limping around a lot. It was an interesting injury. I don't know if you saw it happen. Packers fans were really upset about it. I thought it was kind of bullshit. Like, he was stepping backwards after a throw and got bumped from behind. And apparently that's where the pull happened. And it was like he got bumped in his upper half. So he just kind of like stepped weird. And Tyler McCall saying he's going to be out next week.
He should be.
Yeah. And who do the Packers have next week? Lions. Oof. All right. Well,
sit him down. Hopefully that's exactly. Then there by week should be week to week following. That would make sense. Listen, he needs to sit. He needs a break. He's actually hurt. But with that, we're going to move on to the next game and talk about some more quarterbacks who are going to sit because they took themselves out of the game. And one of the most wild fucking things that I think I've ever heard of, a starting quarterback for an NFL team tapped himself out of the game for being tired.
On 3rd and goal.
On 3rd and goal in a close game against a division rival. Anthony Richardson should never start for the Colts ever again. It is an egregious mistake by the guy who is supposed to be the face and leader of your franchise. And you cannot do that. And you know what? He was playing like shit. 10 of 32 for 175 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. My man, those fucking passes, one of them was to Josh Downs for 69 yards.
On a broken play. Broken play.
At one point, I sent you his stat line, and I'm going to pull it the fuck back up because I thought it was a goddamn joke.
We're seeing... I love that this is a litmus form. The Bo Nix stat lines.
2 of 13 for 81 yards in the first half. Completed 2 fucking passes out of 13. He is not an NFL quarterback at all right now. Do I think he's incredibly physically gifted? Yes. He can't play quarterback.
In fairness, in that first half, because I was watching, he did have probably like 5 drops, I think. Where receivers should have caught the ball, but he on his misses, they were misses for sure, like inaccuracy. I will absolutely crow here. We got to keep ourselves honest with it. I was enamored with Anthony Richardson in the draft when he was coming out. You see all that arm talent and the ability to run and stuff like that, and he's like, this is the modern day NFL quarterback. Mm-hmm. He could be Lamar plus. It turns out that he was a Lamborghini that has apparently a half tank of gas and no steering wheel. Because for all of that arm talent, the accuracy is not there. And obviously, he has other physical limitations. It's inexcusable to be too tired to complete a drive and take yourself out of the game. I can't completely put myself in a guy's shoes in the NFL because I'm nowhere near that physically talented. I just couldn't ever see myself being like, you need to take me out. Like, I would be cherishing every moment on that field and wanting to do everything I can. And you have to have that ego, that moxie to an extent. I deserve to be here. I'm the best guy on the field, and I'm not going to take myself off the field because I'm the best chance to help my team win.
Do you think he believes he is anymore? Because the stat lines are starting to become a problem. Everybody if you go look at his whole season stat line, it's under 50% completion percentage.
I don't know. It is statistically worst passing performances that we've seen in a season. We're talking Spurgeon win levels here.
This is now the worst quarterback play in all of the NFL. Deshaun Watson was the worst quarterback play. Wow. We still had Mayo boy down there in Tennessee, but he's not playing right now. Levis, yeah.
We've seen some bad performances. Look, Bo Nix has played the past couple of weeks, but early season Bo Nix, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis have been bottom of the barrel quarterbacks in this league, and it's been really, really tough to watch all these guys. The thing is that Richardson, this is his second year, right? He should be doing something better than this. He had, injuries and stuff like that, but you're not even seeing the same sort of like running capability. And part of that is, he's got to be careful because of injuries, but like Levis has better accuracy. They both have arm talent.
And we call him unhinged Jay Cutler.
Yes.
I don't even know what to call Anthony Richardson. We have never seen a quarterback, Jamarcus Russell. It is Jamarcus Russell level fucking. All he will do is yeet that motherfucker 60 yards down the field and pray that Alex Pierce is down there. Or it's maybe he can't even check it down. I don't understand. Like,
I was fearful.
I'm furious
when Josh Downs broke way wide the fuck open on a broken play. I saw him break it, and I thought
he's
probably gonna overthrow this motherfucker.
Yeah,
he didn't. He took a lot off of that throw for sure, and just kind of floated it to him. And Josh Downs was able to, run that 69 yards for a touchdown. That's what gives him any sort of a good stat line here. You're taking a third of his fucking performance away with that one play, yardage wise. And yeah, like it's going to be beating a dead horse here. Like the fact that he took himself out of the game, his poor performance, it was the easiest decision ever for Coach Shane Steichen to make, to bench him and put in Joe Flacco, who you guys were, in Indianapolis, were rolling with Joe Flacco in there. There's good, there's bad, but you saw that from Joe last year with the Browns.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if Joe doesn't make Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, all these guys look a lot better. Like Josh Downs is he's on my fantasy team. He's an easy bench with AR out there on the field.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, he put up over 20 points last week, but he's been putting up that with Joe Flacco with more targets, more consistency. You're not going to be able to replicate what you saw from Josh Downs and AR week to week, because AR get the ball to his receivers like that. But you do get that when you have a Joe Flacco out there, and you get that from all the other receivers on your team. It's a much more balanced offense. You aren't getting the Shane Steichen, mobile dual threat quarterback type of stuff that we saw in Philly with Jalen Hurts when you have Joe Flacco out there, but you're getting a much more competent offense out there. That being said, the Colts defense is still pretty fucking bad. Colts fans should be happy that their offense is going to be able to do something now. And I was definitely pissed to hear that they were benching Richardson because my Vikes get to play the Colts on Sunday Night Football this week. I was really looking forward to seeing what we could do against AR. Now we actually have to game plan a little bit more for an actual offensive performance.
You can't just run fucking cover 4. Palms, run underneath and then just fucking 4 deep.
Yeah.
Because that's all you'd have to do. That's all you got to run against him. Texans in this game, I lose Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins, I don't know if he's coming back at all this season. He's still sitting on my bench. I'm praying that at some point
I'm sure he'll be back.
It's
a hamstring injury. Hamstrings take 4 to 6 weeks. He will be back.
Yeah.
And he can't come back soon enough, to be completely honest. Like when Nico went out that game, I watched him go out. He didn't look like he pulled up. He walked to the blue tent on his own. Everything looked normal. I don't feel like that hamstring injury is as bad of a strain as some hamstrings can be. Having had my own slew of hamstring injuries, they can fucking suck, and they are very difficult and tough to come back from. I think he's going to be fine when he does come back, and it's not going to be a problem. But he needs to come back for this team because they are dropping receivers now like flies. You have Tank Dell. He's the fucking dude. Xavier Hutchinson is a number 4 on most teams. Dalton Schultz is a solid, productive tight end, but you are lacking a lot there. Joe Mixon being there, being healthy, that is their saving grace right now, man. He's still consistently putting up 100 yards rushing each game. CJ Stroud is going to be put to the test. The sign of a good quarterback is when a quarterback can go out there with less than ample wide receiver talent and still make things happen. Right. So CJ Stroud in year 2 is definitely going to be put to the test.
Listen, they're 6-2 right now, 4-0 in their division. I believe in CJ Stroud. However, I might have to stop taking him to cover because he has not fucking covered for me in quite some time, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, the Texans, were shot out of a cannon last year. They've kind of fallen back to earth a little bit. They're still obviously a good team. Happy to see the Texans be a good team again. But they have some work to do. They are not without some holes in their game. All right, next up we have the Saints going to play the Chargers. Chargers win 26-8. Another terrible game from the Saints here. Week 3 and beyond, they've been what we kind of expected the Saints team to be. Not very good. Spencer Rattler throwing 50% completion percentage, 156 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The running game, still nothing special there. Alvin Kamara on that new contract, only getting 67 yards. They are definitely hurting there in New Orleans. I don't think that Dennis Allen is going to be long for that head coaching job. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that he was probably one of the most out of place head coaches in the league. Solid defensive minded guy, but never really should have been the head coach there. And the Chargers are a damn good team underneath Harbaugh. Like, they're not explosive by any means. We are definitely seeing the passing game open up a lot more. Ladd McConkey having his fucking day, 6 catches, 111 yards, and 2 tuds. And so it's nice to see Herbert being able to pass the ball around a little more, them opening up that passing game. It feels like they had to solidify the run game through those first couple games to make teams understand that they were going to be a good running team in order for them to focus on that. And now the passing game can kind of open up. So good team there. Still on Kamani Vidal watch, only 16 yards and 6 carries in this one. I like that guy. I do feel like he's going to have a place. But right now it's J.K. Dobbins' show there.
Yeah, so I think that the Chargers are a pretty good team right now. I am excited for our matchup coming up this week. We did a really good job being able to hold Derrick Henry kind of in check, and he still had his day.
Like 80 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
But compared to what he's been doing, yeah.
No, yeah. We had a great day kind of keeping him in check. So it'll be fun to see how we match up against this Chargers offense. Their passing game has the ability at times to be explosive, but I don't think they necessarily have guys that are going to scare me. Like, Ladd is a great receiver. I love what he can do, but he's not a guy that I expect to go out and have that performance like he had this last week every week. They don't have that big prime time receiver. So I'm really
Joshua Palmer's not it.
No.
Like, he's another number 3 style receiver. Ladd's
Look,
more of that.
They're making
guy.
it work with Jags. So good on Harbaugh and getting this team ready to go. Saints down bad. There'll be firings and all sorts of shit happening there. They played 3 different quarterbacks. Well, I guess technically 3 quarterbacks in this game, if you want to consider Taysom Hill a quarterback at this point of his career, which I do not. But they're grasping at straws, especially with Carr out. They're down bad, and they will be probably for the majority of the season. I'm excited for my Chargers matchup, though, this week.
Yep. All right, next up, we have Buffalo and Seattle. Buffalo gets the win 31-10. Josh Allen has himself a very nice, solid day. Throws his first interception.
Yeah.
But 283 yards, 2 touchdowns. James Cook, again, running game gets established. And then you have a solid defense. 17 carries, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. These teams that are able to establish that good run game are able to open other stuff up in the passing game for them, but they're not predicated on the pass. And then you have your defense just kind of be stalwart other than that. Keon Coleman, another good day there, 5 catches, 70 yards. And Khalil Shakir showing up. Did not see the Amari Cooper show, only 1 catch for 3 yards.
Yeah.
But again, he's still learning that offense. But that's Bill's solid running game and taking the pressure off of Josh Allen from having to do superhero things. That's pretty much this.
That really kind of is what will help this team go a long ways. If they get the run game going with James Cook, they got a couple guys that they can try to run the ball with there. They're going to have a pretty good productive day. Obviously, we know Josh Allen can run the ball, but if he doesn't have to shoulder the load all by himself, he will be pretty damn effective. What I'd like to see, though, is that if you go through and you look, guys that caught passes, utilizing both tight ends. We have not seen them do that a whole lot this year. I think they need to do some more of that. That would be really good for that team because then it just kind of opens up another option. Amari Cooper can work out of 22 personnel or 21 personnel. I don't know if he's going to take that lead role or if we're going to see Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir kind of stay in that spot. But if they get both tight ends going and let Amari work This dynamic offense can get even more involved, more dynamic, kind of that old school Patriot style offense. Now they're not Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. They're tight ends, but they are both capable pass catchers. So I think they should get them more involved.
Yeah, look, Knox was absolutely a relevant tight end before Dalton Kincaid came in there.
Yeah.
So look, they have two very competent tight ends there. I don't think they've necessarily had to use them. Again, like the running game's been really good. You brought it like they've got guys behind James Cook that can run. Ray Davis and with Ty Johnson, I believe. That when James Cook was out, those guys both had solid days. Ray Davis, I believe, put up the most rushing yards for a rookie this year, or tied for like most offensive yards or something like that by a rookie in the game that he played in. Like those guys, it goes to show that like the offense is well coached and they have got a good O line, so they're able to establish that run game. And it's pretty obvious when teams don't have a good run game because they're not going to be able to put up points and they're not going to be able to go toe to toe with teams like the Bills. Seattle, 32 rushing yards in this game, and 16 of them came from your quarterback. Like no run game. You're forcing everything into the pass game. Gino's getting frustrated, throwing balls at the back of players' heads and shit like that. It's a tough look, and no DK Metcalf out there.
We've talked about it a couple times throughout the year and today. That pendulum is starting to swing back. We're starting to see the run game be much more important. Before you had to throw the ball, And listen, it's still a quarterback league. That shit's never going to change. But what your quarterback has to do might not always be a superhero. You don't have to do Josh Allen things all the time. If your team can establish a run game and run the ball. Every team that has established a run and run the ball this year effectively has been fucking really goddamn good. The pendulum is swinging back. Seahawks could not establish the run game at all in this. They never had a shot. Bills by a billion.
Billion. All right, next up we have the Broncos and the Panthers. Broncos win their 5th out of 6 games out of their last 6, 28-14. Bryce Young, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 224 yards. Didn't look as bad as he has in the past. Still did not look good though, by any means. And definitely was lacking that receiving talent out there. And they're going to be going forward without Deontay Johnson, less receiving talent. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Thielen if he ends up coming back and making any sort of an impact. He still is a possible trade piece as well that they could put out there. And of course, the defense, we've talked about this. They're kind of depleted already. And their best defensive player has gone down for the year on IR. But over for the Broncos, I mean, Bo Nix, this Carolina team made him look really fucking good. 28-37, 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers. That's the sort of efficiency that you want to see from a quarterback, that Sean Payton wants from his quarterback. And they were able to also establish that run game between Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Almost 100 yards from the two of them, and then a couple yards here or there from Nix and Audric Estime. Real solid game from the Broncos, and we know their defense is fucking top notch.
Yeah, that's all you have to think about in this game was their defense. Bryce Young got a couple touchdowns, sure. Didn't look nearly as bad, sure. But this team is going to be devoid of talent again. They're getting rid of more and more guys. Like they're terrible. You cannot pick this team to win. Bo Nix played much better. Bo Nix accounted for 4 touchdowns. Right now, Bo Nix is playing pretty decent football. I'm probably a little bit more high on what Bo Nix is doing right now than you are. But listen, he had a decent day. Didn't force anything, didn't make any critical mistakes. Took a couple of shots down the field, which is what we need to start seeing more of. Not a lot. He didn't take a lot of shots, but if he takes a couple of shots and he gets people to soften up, he can be effective. But if he goes right in the check down Charlie, I promise you it's not going to work. Ask Deshaun Watson and all the Cleveland Browns fans who are pissed that we're 2-6 right now. It's not winning football. So if he pushes the ball down the field a little bit, which he has done recently, and he got Cortland Sutton involved, that will be a good thing for this Broncos offense.
Yep. Now again, look, they've won 5 of their past 6. Broncos are looking pretty good going into this next game. They are kind of going in a bit of a grinder here. They got the Ravens next week, Chiefs after that, and the Falcons. 3-game stretch that's going to be pretty fucking difficult. 2 away games, Ravens and Chiefs there. So look, Broncos, again, defense is really solid. Nix is going to be put to the test against that Ravens defense and especially that Chiefs defense. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll get a little bit better idea of what this team is. But look, the offense has been holding up its end of the bargain here. So, congrats to Bo Nix there. Again, you probably are more high on him than I am because he still has those flaws to him.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to watch and see what he's able to do for the rest of his first season.
Yeah, and listen, I'm more down on their scheme more so. I'm not a fucking Sean Payton guy. I'm not a Bo Nix guy either. But listen, I got to call a spade a spade. He's been playing much better football recently, so I'll give him his flowers now. We'll see if he can continue that. But moving on, talk about the next game. Couple of division opponents for the Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders. Chiefs get the win 27-20. They do not cover the 9.5 that we needed. But we saw Travis Kelce get much more involved in this game. This game plan kind of called for that. They get the dub. 12 targets for Travis Kelce. Kind of needed to get him going. They still need a ton of help other places. DeAndre Hopkins will be more involved as this offense grows and builds, but they don't have another consistent pass catcher worthy for all of the speed lacks in, the ability to catch the ball effectively. So that offense is still going to be a work in progress. The Chiefs defense is spectacular. Even though Gardner did not play a terrible game, Chiefs come away with the win. What did you see in this one, brother? The Chiefs, for me, it's their ability to make stops when they absolutely need it. Their defense is spectacular.
Yeah, I kind of question what's going to happen with Antonio Pierce. The players really called for him to be the head coach. They got their way. He's the head coach. But this Vegas team, Gardner didn't have a terrible day, but they're uninspiring kind of all over. The defense is better than the offense, but it's still not great.
The running game is terrible.
The
worst running game in football is the Raiders.
It's 33 yards. Alexander Madison, again, I love the guy, but Minnesota as a lead back last year. He's not it. 15 yards on 14 carries. You get a yard to carry. It's terrible. Yeah, you're going up against an extremely good defense with a hell of a line that just got better because they brought in Uche. But you don't establish any sort of a run game. You start to lean back on your quarterback, and Gardner Minshew isn't the type of quarterback that you want to lean on for that sort of production. I think that it's entirely plausible that Pierce might not make it through the year.
Yeah. He almost wasn't hired to be the head coach anyways. They brought in other people to try to take that job, and then he ends up getting it. So it would not break their heart by any means to say, okay, no, we're going to get a new head coach. And then they'll reset. They'll go after a quarterback. Not a great quarterback draft to go and need one, which is why another reason I'd love Jameis to stay in Cleveland. But yeah, they're in a bad spot. He's got to be on the hot seat because they have not played inspiring football. The Chiefs continue to get wins and not cover.
Yeah. And look, Chiefs still undefeated. I'm interested to see where you think that their first loss might come. They realistically could come any week, but they have the Bucks on Monday night, then the Broncos the week after, Bills, and the Panthers is probably not going to be a problem. That's their next 4 games. I could see it coming against the Bills. I don't know.
On the road at the Bills?
And
just
the
because
Bucks,
they're on the road.
Yeah. The Bills, I think, is probably their next shot. The Bucks obviously have the capability of having some offensive firepower there, but the lack of receiving talent, it's tough.
Well, you look at Panthers, Raiders. Fucking, they could feasibly run the table. When you look at this, if it's not the Bills. Bills on the road is going to be a tough game, especially because that could be an elements game. Middle of November.
Yeah. I don't like seeing undefeated teams, and I'm kind of getting tired of the Chiefs, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
Say it all the time. We love parity here, and so the Chiefs constantly winning gets a little old. But Bucks, that could be a closer game. Bills, that's one that they absolutely could drop. But Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, maybe versus the Chargers there. Your Browns, Texans, if Texans start to get players back late in the year, maybe that could be something. Steelers play good defensive football, and Russ is cooking. And then the Broncos again. It's conceivable that they could. I think that we're looking at least like a 15-2 year, if not possibly going undefeated here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're really fucking good, especially on defense. If they get a guy, I got DeAndre Hopkins. If they can find a way to get their offense going, they're going to be really fucking hard to beat. But with that, we'll transition over to the next game, which had one of the most wild endings that I can ever remember watching. And it's not because it ended on a Hail Mary. It's because the fashion in which the Hail Mary happened. I assume you, everybody else on the fucking internet right now has seen the video of number 29,
Tariq Stevenson. Yeah.
Tariq Stevenson talking shit to the fans, missing the snap of the ball, and then being the responsible party for tipping the pass that lands in the hands of the Commanders to win the game. The only touchdown pass Jaden Daniels threw all game. I'm surprised that now I don't know this player very well, but I'm surprised he's not cut, because those are types of mistakes that get you cut from NFL teams. It happens all the time. You got to understand the fucking situation. You still are playing football, and Jaden Daniels has a good enough arm and escapability to make sure he gets a throw off. Get back there, get connected to the fucking guy you're supposed to be connected to, and go home with a win in a game that the Bears probably shouldn't have won anyways because Caleb Williams played terribly. What did you see from this game? Obviously, the huge storyline is that the Commanders get it done, but the Commanders didn't get much of anything done for the majority of the day until right there with a prayer at the end. What do you got on this, brother?
Yeah, look, it was I don't want to call it a defensive battle because the Commanders' defense isn't that great, but coming off of a bye, Caleb Williams just did not look good. 10-24, no tuds. The running game absolutely was going for Chicago. I mean, another week from DeAndre Swift where he was looking pretty good, but no semblance of a pass game there to kind of take advantage of it. And only being able to get 2 touchdowns from the run game is a bit of a struggle. As far as that last play, which is really what matters here, Tariq Stevenson made a big fucking mistake. He's not in a place to be kind of jaw-jacking like that and being that cocky. I'm a Tariq Stevenson fan. I was a fan of him last year in the draft. He ended up being a second-round pick for the Bears, and he's played average football so far. I mean, he's still pretty early in his career right now. He's ranked 164th out of 201 eligible cornerbacks, according to PFF. So, but he's been part of a good defense. He's a solid cornerback with more room to grow. But damn, that's a very embarrassing way to end the game. Not only to be talking shit, but then to be the one that tips the ball up for a Hail Mary. You don't see those Hail Marys happen too often. It's definitely a bad look. He very quickly, ate crow and apologized to his team and public statements and everything, which is good. You got to try to get out ahead of that as much as possible because
it will get you cut if you don't. Like, that is an egregious mistake, especially when you are not that high of a quality of a player. Like, sure, he's not bad, but some of the numbers you were just saying, like 164th out of 201, sure, it's PFF, but that means that you're fucking replaceable.
Yeah,
very easily replaced.
If he wasn't as high of a draft pick, he might not be playing
probably.
next week. With that sort of antics, yeah, for sure. That being said, Jaden Daniels did have a good day overall. Yes, didn't get a touchdown, but ran for 52 yards, threw for another 326, almost being 400 yards of offense. He's still having that offensive rookie of the year style season. And I'm glad that they were able to get this win over the Bears because that's what kept the Vikings from being tied for last place in the NFC North. What a wild week it was for my Vikings. But yeah, look, uninspiring day for Caleb Williams, a lot more like the beginning of the year for him. So the Bears still a tough team, still have a solid above average defense. They just got to figure out more with that passing game when you have that sort of talent receiver wise. Caleb's got to figure that out a little bit better.
Dude, I'm so pumped for Terry McLaurin that he finally has a dude that can effectively get him the ball because Terry is a fucking phenomenal receiver. Loved him at Ohio State, and I was waiting for him to have a chance to go off. He's got a dude now, so I'm pumped for Terry. And that team is pretty good. 6-2 for the Commanders right now. That's fucking really good for them. I didn't think they would be that good. I thought Jaden Daniels would definitely improve, but he right now should be firmly entrenched as the leader for fucking rookie of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'll take my flowers. I said even going into the offseason, this could be one of the quickest turnaround teams because of all the cap space that they have and who they're going to be able to bring in. I didn't expect the offense to look this good. Defense obviously still has a lot of holes in it. It's got veterans who are there who can make things happen, but they are aging veterans. You're still going to have some issues, especially on that defensive line right now. They need more pass rush. And this is a team that is going to make the playoffs probably. I don't know if they have that long of a run, though, because the defense isn't going to be there to support them in the long term. But it's definitely a good story. The Commanders should be happy with where they're trending.
Absolutely. All right, move on to the next game.
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football, Cowboys took on the 49ers. The Cowboys fucking stink. They're going to have a massive, massive problem down there in Dallas because they drop another one to the 49ers. Dak throws 2 more picks. The running game, guess what? It's still fucking non-existent down there in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, great day. But that's because he gets to throw him the ball 17 fucking times because there's nobody else on the offense that can do any fucking thing besides CeeDee Lamb. So, Evo, did the 49ers win this game or did the Cowboys lose this game? Because the 49ers played pretty good, established the run. Are we giving credit to a 49ers team that has been kind of middling, or are we just saying the Cowboys fucking suck?
I mean, a little bit of both. Look, the Cowboys' defense is terrible. Their offense is extremely one-dimensional. Props to CeeDee Lamb because he is absolutely one of the best receivers in football, probably top 3. And he's what kept them in this game. It wasn't necessarily Dak or anything like that. It absolutely wasn't that run game, which I don't see there's any way of them fixing that. Apart from massive trade package to go out there and get a big name running back. And I don't think that's worth it at this point because I don't know if the offensive line can do anything for him to get a good running game going. Because you would still think that they would have something better a couple weeks out of the year, and they really haven't had much there. In San Fran, like Brock Purdy did a pretty average Brock Purdy game. I know that game manager is a pejorative, but he managed the game. He got the ball to Kittle. Kittle had a fucking phenomenal game. Debo had a solid game. You saw them be very diverse running the ball, 223 yards, splitting it up between Isaac Guerrero and Mason. They got Pearsall involved in the run game, and Debo obviously can be a factor in the run game. They spread it around and were able to get 223 yards rushing. That means that 260 yards passing, that makes absolute sense. Brock didn't have to pass it. He didn't have to go crazy. You established that fucking run game. This Dallas defense is pretty damn bad, especially against the run. Mike Zimmer's in a fucking blender. And, I mean, yeah, you don't have Micah Parsons in there. You have a bunch of injuries and stuff like that, but still, like, Dallas is the most one-dimensional team out there, probably because they don't have a defense, they don't have a run game, they have an average quarterback, and they have a top-tier talent receiver that's not going to keep you afloat. So it's a little bit of both. The 49ers did exactly what they needed to do to win this game, which is play safe football, right?
Yeah.
Play safe football, run the ball, and get their points where they can get them, and let the Cowboys not be able to overcome that.
It's crazy to me, man. Like, well, it's not crazy. We both predicted the Cowboys would fucking kind of suck. What's crazy to me is the fact of what they did with their contracts. They're so fucked.
The Cowboys are 3-4 right now, which isn't obviously, turn off the lights and go home for the year. But the way that they're looking right now, yeah, you're going to get some of those guys back. You're going to get Micah Parsons back. But
this season's over for them. They're not going to generate enough points unless CeeDee Lamb goes absolutely ballistic every fucking week. They do not have the juice. This season is over. And now they're not going to be able to spend in free agency. They're going to struggle to re-sign Micah Parsons. They're going to have to draft spectacularly. And Jerry's still pulling the trigger on the draft picks. These guys are fucked.
Yeah. And there's talks about, Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, who's going to be doing more of the drafting or GM work and stuff like that. I don't think it really makes a difference right now. I think they've set themselves up for failure this year and probably failure for the next couple years. Just like what you're saying. I don't even know that this team is in a position, if you were to say, hey, we need to phone it in and we need to start getting rid of some of these assets in order to get more picks to have a better shot. I don't know who they can do that with. Micah Parsons is the one guy that I could think of because they're not going to be able to pay that contract. And you can probably get a king's ransom for him. Two first-round picks and more probably. But then your one good player on defense right now is gone. That defense is completely scrapped. So, and offensively, again, you don't really have anyone there that's a trade bait. Dak and CD are your two guys, and they're both locked down long term. You can't afford to get rid of them after just resigning them. So they are in a tough spot. They're in a really tough spot. Micah Parsons and getting rid of him is possibly your only option to. It doesn't give you cap relief, but it takes away some of the strain that you're going to feel over the next years if you try to resign him, and it gives you a better shot at bringing in some young talent because you're probably going to get extra first round picks for him. But I don't. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Cowboys fan or if you're Jerry Jones to get rid of Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and fans will be asking, why the fuck would we get rid of Micah Parsons when the guy who has not played very well is Dak Prescott? Talked about it, right? Jerry blew his chance at his out by re-signing him. If he didn't re-sign him during this offseason, he could have said, no, Dak's not the answer, when they were obviously not very good this year. He blew that chance. It's all over. They're locked in on Dak. They're going to lose Micah Parsons. Now, whether that happens during the season or at the end of the year, we'll see. Because, I don't know when Micah Parsons is scheduled to be coming back, but if he's back before the trade deadline is up, he can be traded. Because is he on IR right now?
Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Because you can't trade a guy on IR. I thought he was on IR. I thought he was 4 weeks out. But if he's not on IR, he can be fucking traded. So that could be in store in the near future. But with that, I'm going to get off of burying the fucking Cowboys. Are you ready to move on to the next game?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our Monday Night Football game to cap out Week 8. Steelers and Giants. Steelers get the win 26-18. Russ again, kind of cooking. 20-28. Really good second half. Statistically, it was an okay first half, but in the statistics in the second half weren't blow you away. But the eye test looked a lot better in the second half. 278 yards and a touchdown. Also had 7 yards on the ground. Najee Harris, again, really good first half. 19 carries, 114 yards on the day. And a really solid defense. George Pickens is obviously big time beneficiary of having a better passing game. Van Jefferson was looking pretty good out there. Calvin Austin, 2 scores in this game, one of them on offense, one of them as a return. It was scrappy football. This is still a Pittsburgh Steelers team that I don't think is going to blow you away points wise or necessarily offensively, but having that little bit of extra in the pass game that Russ Wilson provides obviously is going to do good things for them. Tomlin, again, is going to have a team here that is going to probably break 500. They're not going to necessarily wow anybody, but they do have a good chance of making it to the playoffs and making a little bit of a strong run just based off that defense. And for the Giants, I mean, it is what it is. Daniel Jones, 24-38, 264 yards and an interception. We kind of called it he was not going to have like the best of days. It wasn't the worst of days by any means. Malik Neighbors dropping a bunch of balls, 13 targets, 7 catches, 71 yards. Still a good day stat line wise, but he was dropping too many passes. And then I would be remiss if I didn't bring up something here from way back when we were doing our draft scouting, talking about a certain player. I said, this guy is slept on, in my opinion. After starting his career at Iowa as a wide receiver, he transferred to Purdue and became a running back. He didn't get to show off his receiving acumen, but it's there. He has wide receiver speed, extremely successful with next to no talent around him, and will only get better with more coaching as a running back. He's also an outstanding returner, which has added value. Think of an underdeveloped Jahmyr Gibbs potentially. And I'm talking about my guy, Tyrone Tracy Jr. He looks like the lead back there. He took a majority of the carries. Devin Singletary has not gotten that job back. Tyrone Tracy, 20 carries, 145 yards. He looked like he got stronger as the game went along, breaking tackles, 7.3 rushing yards on average and a touchdown with a 45-yard run. Going up against a very good defense to be able to churn out 145 yards. Like, I'm very proud of the guy. He looks like he's getting better every week. And he looks like to be the workhorse back there in New York. He is no fucking Saquon Barkley, but he is an NFL level talented running back and a starter in this league, in my opinion. Super stoked for that guy. That's kind of your bright spot there.
Had a good day. You know what? Giants didn't have this is not a terrible game. Other than the fact that they just couldn't score. The ball was moved, not a lot of turnovers. They just couldn't get in the end zone. 8 fucking field goals kicked in this game. This is the storyline. And it sucks because this could have been actually a really exciting game. You get a couple of scores here. Tyrone Tracy had a great day. Najee Harris, good day. Actually looked fairly explosive, which is something I have had a huge knock on. Najee is it does not look explosive at all. Did look a little explosive in this, but really, man, the offense has opened up because Russ.
Look, we haven't been supporters of Najee for years.
Yeah,
this is the first year where I'm like, he actually looks like he's a pretty solid running back. It's been for pretty much this entire year that he has looked like a good running back. Yeah, and part of that I think is the scheme. Like, Arthur Smith runs a good scheme for him, and Najee looks way more competent as a runner.
Yeah, he really does, man. So yeah, I have knocked Najee for a long time, but they look good. Russ looks good. Decent game. Giants just don't come out with a win. That's typical.
It came down to defense and special teams.
Yeah, this is not a bad game. The score is weird, 18-26 or 26-18, however. Lot of fucking field goals. If some points get scored here, this is actually a super exciting game.
Yeah. But, look, I wish I hadn't sat Boswell because I could have gotten all those extra points, but I just figured I might as well sit him.
Yeah, I already got you were beating me.
I had already gotten that dub in our game, only by 2 points, but that's because Boswell didn't play. It would have been
well, that's because my fucking running backs are either hurt or play for the Jets, so they don't know how to use them. So,
very true.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but that wraps up week 8 for us. So we got one more thing to go over, man. Our Thursday night football game here in a couple days on Halloween. Spooky season out there. We got the Texans going out to New York to play the Jets. As of right now on FanDuel, the Jets are favored minus 1.5 at minus 110 odds, or you can give those points to the Texans at minus 110 odds. Now, look, the Texans are down those receivers, but they've got a running back and they know how to use them. And with the Jets, things are not trending well. I'm going with the Texans. I'll take the Texans plus the point.
I already wrote it in for both of us. I already knew what was happening as soon as the Texans were getting points. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets fucking stink. You know what? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. I doubt it, though. They have not been good for quite some time. Can CJ Stroud step up with reduced wide receivers? I think so. He doesn't need to do everything, though, because that run game has been good. Joe Mixon has been spectacular for them since he has been healthy. I think that they could actually beat the shit out of the Jets for the simple fact that the Jets offense can't fucking score. Texans plus a point and a half is a fucking slam dunk for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. This is going to be a heavy Joe Mixon game, and we're going to see some other guys mix in passing wise. I would love to see Tank Dell finally break one out. Obviously, he's going to be the focal point for that defense, which Jets defense is good, definitely a good pass defense. A little bit less with the run, which is why I think Joe Mixon is going to have himself another 100-yard day. But I would love to see Tank Dell step up in this game and put up some good numbers. But you're probably going to see this ball get spread around quite a bit. Dalton Schultz will obviously be a contributor. Xavier Hutchinson is going to be a contributor.
I think Menchie is going to get a nice little run on a couple of deep balls.
Yeah, so. Menchie could have a good day. Yep. And they'll need to do that because like the Jets do have a good defense. That's what could keep them in the game. Texans haven't looked as star-studded on offense as they should, and a lot of that is because that receiving talent is down, and they're hurting even more now. So yeah, we'll go with the Texans here. Give them that 1.5.
Oh yeah, that one was super easy for me. But all right, brother, that was the show. That was it for today.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah! Great job, everybody else out there who tuned in. Great job to you too. We appreciate you guys very much. And if you guys would not mind taking a little extra time, because we know how valuable time is to you. But if you wouldn't mind, please go like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel or at any one of the social media platforms that you can see down below. But with that, Evo, let's get the fuck out of here, man. We got some baseball still going on. Yankees back on top. Maybe they want to play a little bit more baseball, play baseball into November. But let's get the hell out of here, man. Give the people one last word. Let's get them hyped, ready for an upcoming Sunday show.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Have a safe trick-or-treating holiday if you're out there with your kids. And enjoy watching some football as well.
Oh, yeah. Guys, happy Halloween from everybody here at the Lineman Lounge. We will see you guys on the opposite side of that on Sunday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to make all of our bets. We're on a nice little uptick here, so we're going to try to keep that rolling. But with that, we're going to get out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. We'll see you on Sunday. See ya.